In this video, I planned on doing a review for a leg routine that was from Bob Hoffman. It was a York routine from 1943. And if you don't know who Bob Hoffman was, he was like the big promoter of weightlifting and physical culture before Joe Weider came along. He was the main one doing it. And I was excited to try this leg routine. Like I said, it was from 1943, which would put it during the silver era, because most people consider the silver era between the 30s through the 60s. And it was very unusual compared to most leg routines that I've done, but I was pleasantly surprised with how challenging it was. But anyway, I'll tell you a little bit more about Bob Hoffman. Bob Hoffman was born in 1898 in Tifton, Georgia. His parents were both from Pennsylvania, so not too long after they moved back to Pennsylvania, and he grew up in Wilkinsburg, Pennsylvania. Hoffman deployed to France during World War I. He was a very decorated soldier. He even won the Silver Star. He ended up being slightly injured by a shell splinter and then was discharged from the Army in 1919. When he got back to Pennsylvania, he started to run the York Oil Burner Company, and from there he formed an athletic club for the employees there. And in the early 1930s, he took a leadership role in the AAU. This was kind of the dominant force with weightlifting and then bodybuilding. He promoted weightlifters and bodybuilders like John Grimmick and Sigmund Klein. He also coached the American Olympic weightlifting team from 1936 through 1968. In 1932, he started the Strength and Health magazine, which he was very well known for. Like I said, this was before Weider came on the scene, so he was kind of the top dog with the magazines. You also had Perry Rader, who founded Iron Man, but Hoffman was kind of the top guy until Weider came along, and this is why they kind of feuded with each other. But then in 1935, Hoffman founded the York Barbell Company. You know, he started selling barbell sets and fitness equipment. And then from there, he would branch out to selling supplements. In 1964, he founded Muscular Development Magazine, which represented the shift from weightlifting to bodybuilding, because it was apparent that bodybuilding was winning out in popularity compared to the Olympic weightlifting style that he was so fond of. He authored several books that are out there, and I believe this leg routine was actually from one of these books in the 40s. Now, his supplements, he also went to war with the FDA because of his supplements. He made claims that they said were outrageous and kind of false claims. So he had to do battle with the FDA quite a bit. And, you know, he stayed active in the physical culture game for quite a while, but Weider eventually overtook him. Weider couldn't really get into AAU to get established because Hoffman dominated there, so that's why Weider formed IFBB and kind of broke out with his own branding, his own promotion of bodybuilding, and Weider just kind of ran away with it, and Hoffman kind of faded out. I actually did a video early on in my channel where I talked about the feud that Weider and Hoffman had. I'll post a link in the description of this video. But Hoffman got so annoyed with Weider, he actually challenged him to a boxing match. That was what the video was about. And then, you know, like I said, Hoffman eventually faded out. You know, later in life, you know, he was active with the President's Council on Physical Fitness. He even met with President Nixon. He, you know, started like a softball team for York. And then later in life, he developed health problems. He had some problems with his heart, and he was in pretty bad shape by the time he died in 1985. The best I have read on Bob Hoffman, very interesting guy, very interesting character. I can't fit everything into this one video about him, but I would recommend the book Muscletown, USA. Very, very good book. But anyway, I will now get into this leg workout of his. All right, so let's get into this workout now. This is the Bob Hoffman 1943 leg workout. It was a program from York Barbell. It was a leg routine program. And now let me give you a little bit of background on it and what Bob advised on how to use it. Now, first of all, this is a program Bob advised using 2 days a week, and then you would devote another 1 or 2 days to upper body. So you're going to train legs this way twice a week. And this would almost be a good routine for like a martial artist or somebody that does another kind of sport, because there's also some exercises in here that concentrate more on like explosiveness, because Bob was an Olympic weightlifter kind of guy. So you'll see that as I go through the routine. But he advised doing this 2 days a week. Bob said that he built 30-inch thighs with this routine. And you got to kind of take that with a grain of salt, because Bob was known to exaggerate stuff. The other thing is, most of these exercises you see here, Bob only wanted you to do one set. He wasn't a fan of high volume. Unlike Perry Rader, who preferred like the high volume, Bob believed that if you did higher reps, higher volume, that it could cause dead legs, which meant that it can cause you to lose spring in your legs. So he was definitely about that explosiveness. So that's why he didn't like excess volume, which is why I don't think this is the best routine for hypertrophy. I think modern leg day routines, work better for that. But that being said, when I first set out to do this routine, I didn't think it would be as challenging as it was. But I think because of all the unique exercises that I don't usually do or haven't ever done before, and plus this routine is very squat focused, I got a better workout out of it, and it was more challenging than I thought. But let me go through this so I could try to get everything in without going too long. The first exercise is a full squat on the toes. And at first I thought, man, maybe I should just put a board under my heels to do like an elevated squat. But I was like, no, I'm going to actually attempt to do this the way they did it. And what you're basically doing, you have your toes kind of pointed outward, you're on your toes, and then you're squatting on your toes. So you're definitely going to have to lower the weight. And since a lot of these exercises you've probably never done before, I would recommend, if you're going to try this routine, your first session, just go lightweight on it. You'll still get a good challenging workout out of it, and you'll reduce the risk of any kind of injury. Because some of these are awkward if you've never done them before. Like the full squat on the toes, you're up on your toes, so your calves are supporting more weight, and you're squatting like that. You're doing a full squat all the way down. And what I'm going to do, because with the modern workouts, I can kind of just tell you about them. You know what I'm talking about, or you can easily look them up. These are a little bit harder to find, so I'm going to stop my description, after I talk about the exercise, and then I will give you a picture or some kind of visual aid so you can see what I'm talking about. So the first exercise was full squat on toes, 10 to 12 reps. The only thing Bob advised going 15 on was the calf raise, because you could train, calves, higher rep, and then the partial squat, and I'll explain that a little bit later. The straddle hop, of course, was unique too, but I will show you a visual of the full squat on the toes. Okay, so the next exercise after the full squat on the toes was the standard barbell calf raise. You could do this standing on a board or just flat, and you've got one set of 15 reps. The next one is your standard full squat, one set of 10 to 12 reps. Um, and you're going to go all the way down, all the way up. Like I said, everybody knows what a full squat is. Um, the next exercise was very unique. It was called the German Goose Step. And basically, what this is you are doing a German military style march with a barbell on your shoulder. And I had a 95-pound barbell on my shoulder. I didn't think this was going to be as challenging as it was, but it's actually quite a challenge. It engaged a lot of stabilizers, and it was definitely challenging to do this march back and forth with 95 pounds on my shoulder. And I just did this to failure, just march back and forth. And I'll give you a visual aid on that as well. All right, after the German goose step, the next exercise we had was a partial squat. Now, the partial squat, just like it sounds, and you really see this Olympic weightlifter style influence come into play. Um, you could go heavier on the partial squat. What you basically do is you set the pins higher. You're not doing a full squat. It's more like I wouldn't even say a half squat, maybe like more like a quarter. You go down once you hit the bars, once you hit the pins. You want to descend slowly, and then once you hit the stopping point, you want to explode back up. And that was where Bob wanted you to develop that explosiveness with a heavier weight. So you could really see the Olympic weightlifter influence in, and this is good for sports like MMA, football, wrestling, that kind of thing. That's why I said, it almost looks like a martial artist could benefit from this. And I'll give you a visual aid of the partial squat. Okay, the next exercise we had was the straddle hop. And this one was very unique. One set, 20 to 50 straddle hops. Basically, this is just doing like a jumping jack with a barbell on your shoulders. I know it sounds weird, but it was actually good cardio, and it was pretty challenging too. I would go pretty light on this because you don't, especially, and if you have knee issues, I'd probably just avoid it altogether. But I only did a 50-pound barbell on my back. That seemed like a perfect, starting weight for me to do these. This was the first time I've ever done this, and it was pretty unique. Um, and I will also give you a visual aid of that. The next exercise we have here is a leg press, one set, 10 to 12 reps. Luckily, the leg press already had some plates on it, so as soon as I was doing the straddle hop, I just hopped on the leg press. I banged out, I think I hit 12. I can't remember if I did 10 or 12 here, but I think I hit 12. Um, and see, when Bob would have done this back in 1943, he would have laid flat on his back, and he would have done it by balancing a barbell on the bottoms of his feet, which is a lot more dangerous than just using the leg press machine. I advise just using the leg press machine here. If you want to do it the Bob Hoffman way, I would use like a Smith machine and then set the pins just for more safety. But um, it's replicating the same thing. And they didn't really have a lot of leg press machines back in 1943, so I understand why they did it that way. The next exercise, and this is another reason I kind of rated it the way I did. Bob advises either running uphill with weights, kind of like sprinting uphill, either carrying a weight or with a barbell on your shoulder, um, or you could do stair steps. And so I just did, stair steps. I got a box and I think I held 35-pound plates and I just went till failure. Basically, this is a weighted exercise where you're either going up an incline or you're stepping upstairs at a rapid rate. Um, and the running up a hill is kind of impractical unless you have a hill outside at your gym, just happens to be there. I think another thing you do is maybe push a weighted sled that might replicate the same thing. Um, then, and I'll give you a visual aid of that. I'm sure you know what stair steps are, but just in case, let me give you a visual aid. The next exercise was a rapid squat, and I should have put full rapid squat here because that's what was listed. This was a full rapid squat. A regular rapid squat is where you're just kind of working like a piston up and down like halfway, but the full rapid squat, you're going all the way down and coming up, at a rapid explosive rate. And you're going to do this one set, 12 reps. Um, and then the finisher was 4 exercises of your choice from the routine. I believe I picked the calf raise, the full squat. I did the German goose step again, and then I believe I did the straddle hop again. And now with this, each of the 4 exercises, you're going to hit the 6 to 12 rep range. But the thing is, you're supposed to do all 4, one set for all 4, but you're supposed to do them back to back to back and no rest. So 4 exercises in a row, 6 to 12 reps, no rest. Unfortunately, this part of the experiment got a bit interrupted. A guy came up to me and started talking to me in the gym. So I had to take a break. But other than that, this workout was very interesting, very unique. I rated it a 3.25 out of 5 stars because it was more challenging than I thought. Um, you would probably rate it higher if you only had 3 or 4 days to get into the gym to do this. Do I think the modern workouts are better for hypertrophy? Yes. Even though Bob said he built his 30-inch thighs with this was still a unique workout that, I would probably keep in a rotation and maybe do it, maybe once every 1 or 2 months just to change things up. It's definitely unique. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a new experience. It was cool kind of going back to 1943 and, kind of seeing how he trained and how people might have trained back then who got these York programs. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is that what Bob advised, like with the squats and the amount of weight lifted, say here on the full squat that you did 200 pounds. Say your first session, you did 200 pounds for 12 reps. What Bob advised to do is the next leg day, you would do 205 pounds for 10 reps. And then on the third leg session, the next week, you would do 205 to 12. So you're progressing, you're slowly progressing, and then you would add another 5 pounds. So you would move in that manner. But that's one thing I wanted to say. Bob Hoffman, very interesting guy. He was the king of physical culture before Weider came along. Um, Promoted weightlifting, powerlifting, and then bodybuilding. definitely check him out. The best book to read, as I said before, Muscletown, USA. I hope you enjoyed the video. And please give this one a try if you're interested in old school workouts.